Global warming, fires, and floods are no longer future horror scenarios. The climate crisis is present here and now. Humanity faces its greatest challenge, a race against time to successfully deal with the climate crisis that threatens the future existence of humanity on Earth. To win this race, development and implementation of technologies are crucial, and transformative innovation is needed at an accelerating rate. Israel, the startup nation, already known as a global innovation and entrepreneurship hub, with groundbreaking technologies and deep knowledge and expertise in R&D, has proven itself in the past with the ability to tackle local climate challenges, securing continuous water supply during drought, growing food in arid land, and coping with extreme climate. Israel is on its way to becoming a global hub for climate change technologies. To date, there are 1,200 climate tech companies in Israel that form a strong basis for future growth and innovation, in accordance with the climate needs and challenges around the world. With only 9 million citizens, Israel has the potential for global climate impact disproportional to its size. As Israeli climate-positive technologies are deployed and implemented around the world, global greenhouse gas emissions are being reduced. With leading technologies and solutions for clean energy systems, sustainable mobility and transport, climate-smart agriculture, alternative proteins, and many other fields, Israel offers a unique and vibrant ecosystem to accelerate the race to mitigate climate change. Global climate impact, made in Israel.
Welcome to the Climate Innovation Summit, Israel's main event to promote COP26. This summit is a joint initiative of PLANETech, the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Israeli Ministry of Environmental Protection, the British Embassy in Israel, and the Israel Innovation Authority. My name is Uriel Klar. I'm the director of PLANETech, a non-profit innovation community for climate change technologies, which is a joint venture of the Israel Innovation Institute and Consensus Business Group. Our mission at PLANETech is to shift the Israeli innovation ecosystem towards solving climate challenges. Today, we're taking a big step towards our goal. COP26 has an important role in bringing countries together and driving global climate action. At COP26, the nations of the world will address what has and hasn't been achieved since the Paris Agreement was signed at COP21 6 years ago, and concrete plans will be set to reach the Paris Agreement targets. Israel, as one of the leading hubs for technology and innovation, has an important role in tackling global climate challenges. Implementation of Israeli technologies around the world already drives down greenhouse gas emissions and support the global efforts for decarbonization and restoration of the natural environment. At this summit, we will learn from government leaders about the role of Israeli climate innovation in responding to the global climate crisis. In the second part of the summit, we'll introduce the PLANETech Climate Challenge Map and hear from 9 leading Israeli climate tech startups that have raised a total funding of $1 billion about their contribution to reducing global greenhouse gas emissions and restoring our planet's health. I'm proud to present our first speaker of the evening, the President of Israel, Mr. Yitzhak Herzog, to share with us his opening words.
Dear friends, the climate crisis is a global emergency. It is amongst the most complex crises that humanity has ever faced. Climate change threatens our environment, our health, our economy, our mental stability, our national security, and so much more. Most importantly, it threatens our future. However, the complexity of this challenge must not weaken our resolve or our sense of urgency. It must strengthen them. Meeting the challenges of climate change will require changes in the very way our economy is structured, the ways we generate, store, and distribute energy, and the ways we grow our food, build our homes, and plan our transportation systems, and so much more. It will require not just this or that upgrade or new feature, but a whole new operating system. This is not a simple task for humanity, but it is a critical one. And as the President of the State of Israel, I intend to work with all stakeholders in Israel and elsewhere, and definitely in the region, to make it happen. I deeply believe that Israel can and must be a global leader in meeting the challenges of climate change. Our combination of entrepreneurial spirit, out-of-the-box thinking, love of our land, small size, and big aspirations can position us to become an international hub of climate solutions. Israel must lead in two ways. The first way is by internal revolution in order to become a model of climate best practices. This includes setting ambitious targets, developing detailed plans for reaching them, and ensuring execution, be it efficiently utilizing solar energy, planning green corridors in our urban areas, designing energy-conserving public transportation, encouraging green investments, or educating about the ramifications of climate crisis on individual skin cancer or other cancers, wildfires, massive flooding, and of course, beyond meat type products. Every decision can make a difference and can help pull us back from the brink. Success in leading this internal change will require overcoming bureaucratic hurdles, different perspectives, and competing interests. That is why I have established the Israel Climate Forum to be headed by Dr. Dov Chenin as a platform for facilitating dialogue, promoting collaboration, and helping to determine the best way forward under the auspices of the Presidency of Israel. The second way in which Israel must lead is through climate innovation. Israel's thousands of cutting-edge startups, world-class research institutions, and decades of experience in meeting the challenges of an arid environment are already transforming Israel into a global force of groundbreaking climate technologies. Together with our friends and partners in the international community, and particularly the nations of the Abraham Accords and the wider Middle East, we can turn our environmental challenges into opportunities and develop the new strategies and capabilities necessary to protect our beautiful planet. Ensuring that Israel continues to develop into a superpower of climate solutions will require close cooperation between the public and private sectors. We must establish as broad a coalition as possible in order to tackle this crisis head-on. As President of the State of Israel, I will work with all parties concerned to ensure that we deploy all tools at our disposal to encourage, facilitate, and fund climate research and development. I applaud all parties involved in organizing this very timely summit, PLANETech. The Israel Innovation Authority, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Environmental Protection, and the British Embassy in Israel, and all your partners. Thank you for your extremely important work. In light of the Glasgow summit, I believe that we need to commend all partners in going forward. And I want to thank the government of Israel and the Prime Minister of Israel and all the relevant ministries for going forward to the summit, for taking unprecedented steps to address the climate crisis. By working hand in hand, taking bold steps and harnessing our collective experience, expertise and creativity and energy, we can transform our society, become a global hub of climate innovation, and preserve our planet for the next generation. Thank you all very much. Good luck and shalom. And may we see the change that is so much necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, President Herzog, for your insightful words. Our next speaker is Ms. Tamar Zandberg, the Minister of Environmental Protection of Israel.
Dear friends, I'm very happy to take part in this summit on climate innovation in parallel to COP26 taking place in Glasgow, because the two must go hand in hand. The climate crisis has become a reality, and we must be realistic and speedy in dealing with it. The truth is that in the post-COVID world, most countries will be focused on restarting their economies. The question then is how to accelerate economic growth, international trade, and infrastructure development, while at the same time reducing greenhouse gas emissions, keeping global warming below 1.5 degrees, and adapting to a world reshaped by climate change. On many occasions, I have spoken on the importance of regulation, information, and economic tools. Today, I want to focus on innovation. We will need to innovate, not only in the ways we produce our energy, but in the ways we build our cities, design our supply chains, dispose our waste, in the materials we use, how we travel, and what we eat. Technology is the key to combining sustained growth with our economies, with a sustainable future for our planet. And the countries that will invest in climate innovation today will be the global leaders of tomorrow. Israel's unique location between 3 continents and 5 climate areas, our expertise in desert agriculture and water management, and our world-class research centers and vibrant startup ecosystem create fertile ground for climate innovation. In the most recent Global Clean Tech Index, Israel ranked second in emerging clean tech innovation. Israel is already home to 1,200 cutting-edge climate tech companies with specific dominance in alternative proteins, which has a major climate impact. I call on all members of the global startup ecosystem to examine how the technology can contribute to addressing climate change, not only as a superficial slogan, but as a true product development strategy. Together with the private sector and academia, it is critical that the government implement the right policies to encourage climate innovation. I'm proud that the Environmental Protection Ministry, together with partners throughout the public sector, is making climate change for the first time a top government priority. While this government is still young, we have already passed a landmark decision on transition to a low-carbon economy. We have updated our NDC and are publishing a detailed implementation plan. We have set new policies and benchmarks in areas from waste, transportation, to industry and clean energy. We will have a new system of carbon pricing based on the principle that the polluter and not the public should pay the true price of the pollution. In addition, we are now advancing a new climate law. We are investing unprecedented sums in promoting innovation through support for pilots and R&D, and are working with Israeli and international partners to open up new sources of funding. We are also providing extensive grants and assistance to ensure a just transition in which all parts of society benefit, both within the industrial sector and households which may be affected by this transition. As Minister of Environmental Protection, I am committed to ensuring that the Israeli government provides the necessary support so that the startup nation can become the nation of sustainability. However, a global green transition will require not only disruptive innovation, but also unparalleled cooperation across sectors and borders. I recently returned from Expo 2020 in Dubai, where I launched the Desertec International Marketplace and held discussions with Emirati officials about expanding climate cooperation across the region. Through initiatives such as PLANETech and Desertec, we can leverage our unique experience and expertise and work together to accelerate sustainable economic growth, improve the health of the planet, and build a more peaceful and prosperous future for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zandberg, for your dedication to climate action. Our next speaker is Mr. Idan Rol, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Israel.
Dear participants of the Climate Innovation Summit, I welcome the initiative of the Israeli climate tech ecosystem to hold the Climate Innovation Summit here in Israel. Climate change is a pressing global issue that is already taking its toll on our planet. In order to mitigate climate change and decarbonize the global economy, we must act quickly. The development and implementation of climate technologies are essential to overcoming this crisis. We are at the forefront of countries working on innovative solutions to confront these challenges, some of which will be presented here this evening. Israel is not acting alone. We have formed collaborations with other countries and international entities in science, research, and different industries. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has declared the fight against climate change a top priority in our diplomatic practice, and our embassies around the globe are working to promote this fight. Climate innovation is a key factor for successfully tackling climate change and its environmental impact. Israeli technologies in the field, which are being implemented in many countries worldwide, already reduced greenhouse gas emissions and have a significant global impact. We can already see technologies in clean energy, sustainable mobility, smart agriculture, and alternative proteins developed in Israel, contributing to the transition towards a greener economy globally. Fighting climate change is a goal not only for Israel, but for the entire Middle East. We have a shared understanding with our regional partners that this is a common challenge that we must join hands to tackle. I encourage our audience today watching from abroad to contact the nearest Israeli embassy and look for ways to promote collaborative action to fight climate change. We will be honored to explore every idea, initiative, and solution to advance the fight on this global challenge. Together, we have a better chance to achieve a significant impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roll, for your important words. I would like to introduce our next speaker, Ambassador Neil Wigan, the British Ambassador to Israel.
Shalom and hello, I'm Neil Wigan, the British Ambassador to Israel, and at the Embassy we're delighted to sponsor this really important event. First of all, I'd like to thank Uriel Klar and all the team at PLANETech for all the work they've done to create an Israeli climate innovation community and for their really important partnership with us at the Embassy. I'd also like to thank the co-sponsors of today's event, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Environmental Protection, and the Israel Innovation Authority for their support. And I know from talking to them that Ministers Lapid and Zandberg are really committed to this initiative and this agenda. And we're delighted to welcome them and the whole Israeli delegation under Prime Minister Bennett to the COP26 summit in Glasgow. We also strongly welcome Israel's commitment, its nationally determined contribution, to reduce climate emissions by 27% by 2035. And we hope to see even more ambitious commitments from Israel in the future. For us in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said that climate change is our #1 international priority for 2021. Of course, we're particularly focused on the COP summit, but that commitment will remain in place in future years because the UK is determined to play a leading role in global efforts to tackle climate change. Domestically, we were the first of the major 20 industrialised economies, the G20, to have a legal target to reduce climate emissions to net zero by 2050. Internationally, in the last 10 years, we helped, we think, 88 million people deal with climate change and 42 million people get better access to clean energy. And in the future, we've committed £11.5 billion to international climate finance. For us at the Embassy, climate change has become a key part of everything that we do, from the political teams to tech, research and innovation, and trade and investment. From our country business plan to our green-themed Queen's birthday party this year, which Minister Zandberg was the guest of honour. Because we think there is enormous potential for collaboration between the UK and Israel, particularly around technology and innovation. Because we believe that Israel's technological ability give it the potential to play a globally important role in the struggle against climate change. That's what makes Israel really important. We've already proved that through our work at the Embassy. We've created partnerships between British companies like BP and Centrica with Israeli startups. We've established the World Clean Growth Fund, which funds collaborations between British and Israeli researchers in this critical field. And we're encouraging Israeli companies to join the UN's Race to Zero. And we're delighted that UBQ Materials has become the first Israeli company to sign up to that. And you'll be hearing from them as well during today's event. But we think we've only just scratched the surface of the potential for future collaboration. And we want to see Israeli entrepreneurs, startups, and the tech community really move into this agenda and make it a key part of what they do. And we see Britain as being their natural partner for 3 reasons. First, British companies are at the forefront of global efforts of adopting clean technology, better technology, building back greener, in everything from autonomous and advanced vehicles, to renewable energy, to energy storage, efficiency, adaptation. And we think that the innovation of Israeli companies could help British companies, and in turn could help Israeli startups to scale up and build the partnerships that they really need to go global and make an international difference. Secondly, Britain will massively increase its investment in research and development in areas around climate. We have great universities working on these issues. They work increasingly closely with Israeli universities, and we see the potential to do much more. And lastly, we think that Britain is the best place for Israeli technologies to come and work. We have the third most unicorns of any country in the world. We have the most unicorns in Europe, and we think we have the most friendly scale-up environment anywhere in Europe. And more Israeli startups are already present in the UK than anywhere else. So we would like more of you to come and join them in this field around climate change. So we hope that today's event will be a stepping stone towards that. So thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Ambassador Wigan, for your informative and motivating words. We look forward to continuing our collaboration with the British Embassy. Before moving to the second part of the summit, I'm proud to introduce our final speaker, Mr. Dror Bin, CEO of the Israel Innovation Authority.
Hello everyone. As the climate crisis is all over the news lately, it should not be considered as news. In fact, it was a Swedish scientist that was the first to claim in 1896 that fossil fuel combustion may eventually result in enhanced global warming. The US Congress has already discussed this matter back in 1989. However, I'm not here to speak about the past, but rather about our mission to change the future. Technological innovation plays a crucial role in the global challenge to mitigate and adapt to climate change. A recent BCG report suggests that technologies that are expected to mitigate 75% of current emissions are far from being implemented. Moreover, solutions to mitigate 35% of total emissions haven't even been conceived yet. This means that everyone in the global innovation ecosystem needs to take action immediately. Israel is renowned for its successful innovation ecosystem and its entrepreneurial problem-solving capabilities and mindset. I believe that besides the significant business opportunities arising from the huge unmet need, the Israeli ecosystem should join the global efforts in fighting climate crisis for the greater good of our planet and mankind. I'm happy to share with you the key findings of Israel's State of Climate Tech report, which maps for the first time the Israeli climate tech ecosystem. This report was prepared by the Israeli Innovation Authority in collaboration with the PLANETech community, which hosts today's event. The report indicates that there is a growing climate tech ecosystem in Israel, which includes nearly 650 startups and growth companies, all aiming to solve a challenge represented to humanity by climate change. During the past 3 years, Israeli climate tech companies attracted nearly $3 billion of private capital investments. Israel demonstrates global leadership in a variety of technologies, including cultivated meat and alternative proteins, precision agriculture, solar energy, and many more. However, we still witness significant barriers which hold the climate ecosystem from fulfilling its potential. First, lack of diversity in capital investments. We need more later stage funds, corporate VCs, and most importantly, climate-dedicated funds which can support the unique funding model necessary for a climate tech startup. Second, we need to improve Israeli companies' participation and success rates in the European Green Deal program. Such program can advance the companies not only financially, but also create strategic collaborations and enhance market access. Third, as the field is heavily regulated, adding the lack of appetite of the demand side in implementing novel technologies means that government has an important role in driving the ecosystem forward. We in the Innovation Authority, together with other ministries, provided nearly $300 million in R&D investments during the past 3 years. We work together with other ministries to promote technology demonstration and implementation in public infrastructure. We will continue and do so as part of a national plan that is being prepared as we speak. The recent COVID-19 crisis showed us the potential impact of a global crisis. The climate crisis is estimated to hit us on a much larger magnitude. It is not only the role of tech innovators to present solutions. Governments and regulators should also work to allow fast implementation of such solutions. I truly believe that this is not too late. If we globally join hands and work together towards the greater good, we will succeed. Israel is ready to take its place at the forefront of this global effort.
Thank you, Mr. Bean, for your great partnership and words. Moving on to the second part of our event, in which we will hear from top Israeli climate tech startup whose technologies span from electric roads to bees, weather forecasting to fast charging cars, energy storage to waste, supply chain, trees, and cultivated meat. Together, these startups have raised $1 billion to promote R&D and commercialization of their climate technologies. I guess you're wondering what exactly climate technologies are and how they are classified. This is exactly why we built the PLANETech Climate Challenge Map. The PLANETech Climate Challenge Map presents the main challenges we need to face in order to achieve successful climate change mitigation and adaptation across all activities of daily life and natural ecosystem. The climate challenges are associated with four main areas: the built environment, materials and manufacturing, land use, and nature, each of which contains 5 explicit challenges, 20 challenges in total. This entails a broad and all-encompassing approach rather than focusing on specific economic sectors. When focusing on challenges, solutions can be facilitated by a variety of technologies. Take a look at the 20 climate challenges of the PLANETech Climate Challenge Map. Today, we are focusing on 9 of the climate challenges. Each has a significant climate impact and boundless opportunities for development of new solutions. We'll hear about each of the 9 challenges from a different startup. The startups are online to take questions, so feel free to use the chat function and communicate directly with them. Let's start exploring Israeli climate innovation. The focus on climate-smart agriculture has grown profoundly in the past decade. Approximately 200 Israeli companies are working on solutions in this field, and nearly $1 billion have been invested in them. The technologies in this field maintain the capacity of agriculture to ensure food security whilst mitigating agriculture land footprint and emissions, and adapting agriculture systems to the impact of climate change. Sitri is dealing with one of the most important natural assets we have: trees. Israel Dalpaz, co-founder and CEO of Sitri, will share with us how they optimize yield and increase carbon uptake by trees.
Hello, my name is Israel Talpaz. I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Sitri. Sitri is a 4-year-old agri-tech company that specializes in optimizing food production and tree growth for growers of trees worldwide. I would like to talk to you about trees. Trees are so vital for our life, our oxygen, supplying our food, our emotional well-being, and now we understand their special role in capturing and sequestering carbon. We are seeing rapid proliferation of net zero carbon commitments by countries and major corporations. Bottom line is we need more and more trees. But the way we manage our trees has not really changed for hundreds of years. We cannot continue to manage them based on our eyes and getting to them with our legs, measuring them with our hands and writing notes on paper or even utilizing spreadsheets. Trees are complex, multifaceted, biological entities. You could argue that they are similar to humans in their complexity. We cannot leave them as they are in the analog world. Our solution is to create excellent digital actionable data we call intelligence. This intelligence will be the enabler, enabling the utilization of the cutting-edge technologies we have today and will have going forward. We need a new approach to let the trees flourish and fulfill their maximum potential. We, the C-Tree team, propose to do exactly this and transform the way we optimize every tree, tract, forest, and region. Today, we are covering over 100 million trees for farmers in Brazil, USA, Mexico, Europe, South Africa. And we have over 150 dedicated people on our team. For the first time, our C-Tree offering is now taking forest management to the next level by building an intelligence platform for trees. We start by digitizing every important element. Every tree matters. Then measuring the important parameters, the KPIs, accurately and comprehensively. Constantly monitoring the dynamic situation over time, and eventually learning and optimizing forests for biomass, biodiversity, and carbon sequestration. How do we do all of this? It is a campaign. Data collection is done by utilizing multiple capabilities. Drones, planes, satellites, ground vehicles with cameras, ground scouting teams, all integrated together under the funnel principle, top to down. Data analysis, this is a combination of AI, artificial intelligence, top-notch machine learning and data science capabilities, coupled with HI, human intelligence, a great team that teaches the machine to learn the different issues that we need to analyze. This combination enables us to be accurate, comprehensive, and automated for scale and efficiencies. Soon we will serve forestry markets, forest conservation, reforestation projects, enhancing carbon sequestration for the world. Not so long ago, we asked ourselves, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? With C-Tree, that is no longer the case. We can lock each tree and make sure it doesn't fall. And if it falls, we will take care of it. Thank you and good luck to us all.
The main focus in the Circularity Challenge is on product design, waste and resource recovery, and transparency. It includes technologies that create materials, processes, infrastructure, and connectivity between stakeholders to maintain resources in a circular system. UBQ Materials, the first Israeli company to join the UN's Race to Zero campaign, developed a unique process that really closes the entire loop. We'll hear from Rachel Barr, UBQ's Vice President of Sustainability, about how the company makes climate-positive products.
Hi, I'm Rachel Barr, Vice President of Sustainability for UBQ Materials. Our company was founded on a single question: why waste waste? Waste is one of the single biggest challenges facing civilization. Globally, 2 billion tons of household waste are produced each year, most of which is thrown into open dumps or landfills, and only 14% of which is recycled. In the context of climate change, waste generates 5% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. As our population increases, so too do the consequences of our linear take, make, waste economy. UBQ has developed a revolutionary technology with the ability to take all household garbage, pizza boxes, banana peels, mixed plastics, and even dirty diapers. Through our patented process, UBQ converts this unsorted waste stream, previously considered unrecyclable, into the most climate-positive thermoplastic on the market, the UBQ material. By using landfill-destined waste as its feedstock, UBQ prevents the emissions of methane, landfill leachates, and other environmental harms. Some of the biggest brands, like McDonald's and Mercedes-Benz, are already using UBQ in their products without compromising on profit. In 2022, UBQ is expanding internationally with a facility in the Netherlands. The faster we scale up, the more landfilling and methane we can prevent. As we grow, sustainability will continue to guide our decision-making. We have pledged to reach net zero emissions for Scope 1, 2, and 3 by 2030, making UBQ the first and the only Israeli company to make such a commitment. We are proud to make this pledge and are optimistic about the future of the planet. Thank you.
$1.8 billion have been invested in Israeli startups in the field of sustainable mobility and transport. Their main focus is on electrification, alternative fuels, fuel efficiency, routing, and transportation modality. In this challenge, technologies target the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions generated by passenger mobility and transports of goods over land, sea, and air. Electrion aims to create and build the first electric city road in the world, providing wireless charging for electric vehicles on the go with no need to stop for charging. We'll hear from Charlie Levin, Electrion's CMO, about how exactly they plan to do it.
Hi, my name's Charlie Levin, and I'm from a company called Electrion. Electrion provides wireless charging for electric vehicles in any mode, whether parked or driving. As more and more countries are committing to deadlines to ban the sale of internal combustion engines, it's driving fleet owners to develop electrification plans, and the world is now expected to move 1.4 billion vehicles to electric in the coming decades. But we must ask ourselves, do we have the global resources to support this shift? Can we do this without exploiting our planet and without increasing carbon emissions in manufacturing processes? Today, the standard industry approach is to manufacture big batteries to counter range anxiety. And while most companies are focused on optimizing batteries, Electrion is focused on minimizing them. In our public projects across Europe and Israel, we're demonstrating that regular top-up charging throughout the day enables fleet vehicles to drive for longer, and with battery capacity and weight reduced by up to 90%. We also show that wireless charging has a role to play in solving power and electric grid challenges. It can flatten peak energy demand by distributing transport demand across space and time, mostly to the daylight hours when solar power is generated. And by including renewables in our charging projects wherever possible, we can minimize the need for electricity transmission and distribution, which can reduce electricity costs by a third. And we can minimize the need for energy storage, which could reduce electricity costs by another 66%. In fact, a recent study conducted by the University of Cambridge found that electric road systems, like our dynamic wireless charging technology, offer the highest possible CO2 emissions reductions of all known technologies today. It's 67% more than fuel cell technology, proving that research, innovation, and persistence are essential if we want to reach net zero transport emissions and avoid the worst possible outcomes of climate change.
The food we eat has a major impact on climate change, especially if it's animal-based. Israeli companies in the exciting and growing field of alternative proteins have received more than $360 million in investments. They create new and sustainable methods and processes to produce nutrition alternatives such as proteins, fats, and tissues using plant-based, cell-based, or microbial food production systems. Aleph Farms is a cultivated meat company that aspires to provide a sustainable and tasty alternative to animal-based protein. Lirecht, Vice President of Sustainability, will tell us how they do it.
Hello, my name is Lee Recht, and I'm the Vice President of Sustainability at Aleph Farms. Aleph Farms is a cultivated meat company. We grow beef steaks directly from non-genetically engineered cells, isolated from a living cow, without harming animals and significantly reducing the impact on the environment. The automated process and sterile environment of manufacturing will eliminate the need for antibiotics and greatly reduce the risk for pathogens or contaminants. We are on a mission to produce quality, delicious meat, independent of climate or availability of natural resources. We are driving the inclusive transition to sustainable and resilient food system that can strengthen our national and global food security. Aleph is the first letter of humanity's oldest writing system. It represents our roots, but also the start of something new. Our global food system was established at the start of the 20th century, when there were 1.6 billion people on the planet. However, it is not suitable for feeding the world population of today, and certainly not that of the future. The ongoing systemic challenges in the meat sector highlight the critical need for investment and innovation to create more sustainable and resilient food systems. For example, cultivated meat can drastically reduce the overall environmental footprint of meat production, reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 92%, land use by 95%, and water use by 78% compared to intensive livestock farming. Aleph Farms is one of the prominent players in this emerging field of cultivated meat. We pride ourselves on our proprietary technology platform, our clear path towards commercialization with global strategic partners, and our firm commitment to carbon neutrality. We know that cultivated meat gives consumers the same outcome as conventional meat. It provides similar nutritional profiles and sensory properties in texture, taste, flavor, and aroma. The potential for this sector is huge. It can also be produced even in space. Yes, in space. Our space program, Aleph Zero, is part of our mission to produce quality, delicious meat independent of climate or availability of natural resources. 2 years ago, we made history when we produced the first cultivated meat in space, and ever since, we've continued developing resilience for our food system under the most extreme conditions. Our efforts in space can then benefit us here at home. Today, policymakers, educators, food suppliers, and consumers are all at a crossroad. Food systems touch all people, and it will take all of us to make this change happen, each playing our role in an inclusive transition to a more sustainable, equitable, and secure world. Aleph Farms is a critical piece of this puzzle.
The richness of biodiversity has many benefits. It increases the ability of ecosystems to maintain soil fertility, deliver clean water to streams and rivers, cycle nutrients, pollinate plants and crops, and buffer against pests and diseases. The biodiversity challenge includes monitoring, modeling, and protecting ecosystems with the aim of halting and reversing biodiversity decline of animals, plants, and other organisms. BeeWise took on a mission to protect bees, one of the most important organisms for global food production that is threatened by climate change. Sar Safra, co-founder and CEO of BeeWise, will tell us what they do to maintain healthy and safe bee colonies.
Hi, I'm Sar, CEO and co-founder of BeeWise. Bees' colony collapse is another manifestation of climate change. Just like ocean acidification or the polar caps that are melting, the bees collapsing is another symptom of the entire global climate change that we are experiencing on this planet. BeeWise is a 4-year-old company, and we do one thing and one thing only. We provide robotic beehives to save the bees on this planet. 75% of all the fruit, vegetables, seeds, and nuts on this planet are pollinated by bees. Things like avocado, tomato, cucumber, even cotton, coffee, alfalfa. which indirectly is related to the dairy industry and to the meat industry. All of these fruit and vegetables are pollinated by bees. Bees are essential to our living on this planet. Unfortunately, 40% of the bees' colonies collapse every single year. From China all the way to the US and everything in between, we will lose 40% of our bees year over year. And that's a disaster from a biodiversity standpoint. At BeeWise, we provide a robotic beehive that houses 24 hives. There's computer vision that monitors the bees from within 24/7, artificial intelligence that identifies what the bees need at every given moment, and then precision robotics that actually treat the bees inside the device in real time. The results are incredible. We experienced less than 10% colony collapse over a course of a year, compared to 40% in our control hives. This is the first time that there's a solution that saves bees at scale, and by that, secures the global food supply.
Novel materials can support the decarbonization of our economy by reducing energy demand and resources for carbon-intensive sectors. StoreDot develops novel materials that change the way we charge cars and support a transition to electrifying mobility. We'll hear from StoreDot CEO Doron Meisdorf about their groundbreaking materials.
Hi, my name is Doron Meisdorf. I am the CEO and co-founder of StoreDot. StoreDot develops groundbreaking materials for the next generation batteries that would enable to solve the number one problem of adoption of electric vehicles, which is the range anxiety and also the charging anxiety, that people are worried that they won't have enough mileage when they charge their electric vehicle. These groundbreaking materials are supporting the environment because it helps us to replace all the billions of combustion engines that are on the roads, and they are being replaced with clean energy that is coming from the electric vehicles. So in order to do that, we need to change the elements of the battery. The anode, which is the negative side with silicon, the cathode, which is the positive side with some organic compounds, and also the electrolyte that supports the movement of ions from cathode to anode back and forth. In order to do that, we have assembled a great team of scientists, 35 PhDs, a team of 120 people that are working all on one mission, and it is to have a next generation battery that enables 5-minute charging. So the experience of the driver is exactly like fueling. In the last 100 years, we've all been used to experience 5 minutes in and out of the fueling station. Now it's becoming the same experience, but with charging, without the fumes. We have assembled together a great team of partners from the manufacturing of the battery, the vehicle itself, the battery manufacturing, and the charging station. All are working together in order to enable the experience of 5-minute charging for 300 miles. So in 2024, we'll be ready for mass production that would enable mass adoption of electric vehicle. And the missing piece, the battery, is what we are focused on with the new groundbreaking materials coming from StoreDot.
Companies in the field of Earth observation develop technologies for monitoring land, ocean, atmosphere, and living organisms, as well as carbon fluxes in the ecosystem. The purpose of the observations can be varied, ranging from long-term planning of mitigation measures to real-time alert systems on immediate threats. Tomorrow.io came up with a true game-changer for weather prediction that impacts almost every industry in the world. Effie Arditi, CPO of Tomorrow.io, will share the story with us.
Hi, I'm Effie, Chief Product Officer at Tomorrow.io. Tomorrow.io is the world's leading weather intelligence platform, helping countries, businesses, and individuals manage their climate security challenges. Customers such as Uber, Delta, Ford, National Grid, and much more use Tomorrow.io to predict the impact of weather through business intelligence, streamline communications and action plans, improve productivity, and optimize profit margins. If you look at the state of weather and climate today, the world is already in the era of consequences. We're now dealing with more frequent and volatile weather than ever before. And Tomorrow.io is helping the world to adapt to our ever-changing climate in a number of ways. First, by bringing the most unique weather modeling technology and product to the industry. Our team is focused on machine learning and AI, building proprietary weather models and building our own satellites and launching them into space. This will revolutionize our planet with more accurate forecasts, faster refresh rates, and bring actionable weather forecasts to every part of the world. But we don't stop there. We've already built multi-vertical software and API business intelligence with predictive business insights that show how the weather is going to impact in advance, so you can make the necessary operational changes before it's too late. By doing so, Tomorrow.io helps teams automate and operate in more sustainable ways to avoid unexpected weather and climate disasters. Through Tomorrow.io's predictive insights dashboards, teams are reducing fuel and chemical usage, mitigating air pollution, preventing transportation accidents on roads, rails, oceans, in the sky, and much more. With Tomorrow.io, you can manage your climate security challenges and improve profit margins at scale through weather intelligence. Thank you, and to learn more, please visit us at tomorrow.io.
In order to create transparent and agile supply chains, Israeli startups are working on innovations in traceability, value chain optimization, and distribution. They develop and utilize technologies, data analytics, and decision-making tools to achieve energy efficiency and minimize waste across the entire supply chain operation. Wiliot, a new Israeli unicorn, is changing the way supply chains are managed. Tal Tamir, co-founder and CEO of Wiliot, will share with us how IoT pixel tagging technology can fight climate change.
Hi, I'm Tal Tamir, co-founder CEO of Wiliot, a startup in the IoT space. Wiliot exists to bring back the T to IoT. In other words, we feel that there are enough smart places and it's time to create smart things. Things are the food we eat, medicine we take, and just everyday stuff that we use. Imagine that your cheese sandwich or insulin injector would be programmed to help produce, supply, use, and recycle them. If everything had a tiny computer with sensing capabilities attached to it, then wouldn't we just program it to act on any deviation from how we expect things to be? 40% of food is wasted, nearly half of all fruit and vegetables lost, driving direct and indirect wasted resources. Why do we throw 1 out of 2 vegetables, and why do people get sick? The simple answer is lack of visibility. If all fruit and vegetables would be smart enough to act independently on wrong handling, empty shelves, or just bad process, we could eliminate these inefficiencies. And it goes on. People talk a lot about electric cars as a tool to reduce emission and save our planet. In US, product returns due to bad supply contribute to the energy loss that is equivalent of 3 million cars, which is twice the number of all electrical cars in US. Why can't the product we order be as smart as the online system we ordered it in? Why must we accept that once in the physical world, things just become dumb? A package can text the fulfillment center that it is heading to the wrong place immediately, or that it has expired or damaged to the point allowed. We also don't have to wait for full cities to become smart in order to eliminate energy wasted on empty places. Individual chairs or carpets can turn the light and AC off if they see that there's no one there. If it sounds like science fiction, you need to connect with us at Wiliot. We will show you that it's doable and actually very affordable. What I'm holding in my hand is a small computer, made mostly of paper. And it can do more than just compute and connect, but also sense. Since why would you connect anything that doesn't tell us anything smart? This label, which we nickname Pixel, gets energy by recycling existing radiation like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or cellular. And it uses its antennas in order to sense. It can sense for relative location, humidity, temperature, content type, level, shelf availability, and many more. It is a secure element with unique ID, and it ensures privacy by changing keys. It can connect with most networks since it transmits standard Bluetooth. As you can see here, my phone could just receive this label, and it's not a special phone. We provide these sensors as a service. And while we designed and will continue to design these pixels, we are working to enable them widely and affordably. So if we agree that people, planet, and profit are linked, and optimizing one improves the other, and since we all know and we got to experience how in the virtual world, having infinite visibility is not just doable, but actually demanded. At Wiliot, we try to help push for a world in which the same is true to the physical world we all live in.
With over 230 companies in Israel, clean energy systems is one of the leading challenges in the Israeli climate tech arena. It includes clean energy generation, efficient transmission, smart distribution, and energy storage at different scales, both centralized and decentralized. Revolutionizing the way we store energy, we'll hear from Ogwin's CEO, Or Yogev, all about the technology.
We at Ogwin develop a technology that is really interesting. It's simple but sophisticated. It's huge but almost invisible. It's visionary but already successfully implemented and totally viable. I started Ogwin 10 years ago with a mission to develop a self-sustained, long-term energy storage solution using a clean, abundant raw material with minimum environmental footprint, with the intention to address renewable energy's largest hurdle to become the main source for power generation, distributed energy storage. From the outset, it was clear to me that in order to really address the issue, our solution must be truly environmental and sustainable. And in doing so, we at Ogwin harness the natural elements, air, water, and earth, in order to fulfill this vision. The idea was to use water for power generation and compressed air for energy storage in a super scalable and economical manner. In 2015, we completed the development of the underground high-pressure storage tank that served as the energy storage element of the system. Thanks to the features of this unique technology, and along the process, we discovered that the same technology can be utilized to dramatically increase compressed air system efficiency across many industrial sectors such as steel, cement, plastic, food, pharmaceutical, and more. The core technology was commercialized by the name AirSmart, and it is widely used to reduce energy consumption, saving both cost and CO2 emissions in dozens of successful installations at some of the largest factories in Israel. While AirSmart is being commercially deployed, we dedicated our R&D efforts to finalize the development of our energy storage solution, the air battery. Using the same building blocks, the air battery is a combination of pumped hydro and compressed air energy storage, providing a safe, reliable, and cost-effective energy storage with a unique value proposition, both technically and environmentally. The system uses only water and air as raw material, with no chemicals, no dependency on rare earth minerals, and no complex supply chain issues. It has no geographical restriction and can be implemented underneath a functional area with minimal footprint, enabling dual use of land above the system. We have developed a system that is eliminating the techno-economical trade-off of distributed energy storage with a perfect fit to address a wide range of application, from commercial and industrial, through transition and distribution, all the way to grid-scale, longer duration application. The air battery system accumulated a backlog of 166 megawatt-hour projects, with first commercial installation completed at the southern desert part of Israel, a true
message to the clean energy marketplace. We at Ogwin are proud to be part of the tech movement that aims to mitigate the negative environmental impacts caused by increased emission. Join us on a road to a cleaner future.
These were 9 out of 1,200 Israeli climate tech companies providing solutions to climate challenges around the world. If you want to learn more about the Israeli climate tech ecosystem, visit our website and download the new report we just published with the Israel Innovation Authority. Thank you for joining us today to discover how Israeli innovation tackles climate change. This is just the beginning, as we see an enormous opportunity for Israel to take leadership in this field in upcoming years. To our Israeli and global audience, we invite you to speak with us and continue to build the climate tech ecosystem in Israel together. I'd like to thank our partners for this event: the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Israeli Ministry of Environmental Protection, the British Embassy in Israel, and the Israel Innovation Authority. I'd like to thank all the great startups that presented today, PLANETech's partners, the Israeli Innovation Institute and Consensus Business Group, and the amazing PLANETech team. You're invited to join the PLANETech community. Thank you, and see you again next year at COP27.